Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast. In fact, it's time for a very special Propagandacast. It's something slightly new, a bit like the operations, of which we haven't seen anyone yet more, but we'll come to that. But now it's time for some slightly new change of plans of scheduling. I'm going to try a new segment every week. I call it the Monday Novice Fight. Yes, indeed, you'll be seeing two slightly greener players fight it out. They shan't be so focused on sort of being highly skilled, aggressive, bold. In fact, they'll probably be largely flawed. There'll be mistakes and all that. So, of course, that means for all you who are expecting high-octane fights with all that, you might probably want to look away. Although I did my best to sort of find one that actually had some decent action, but still, you're not going to be seeing Montgomery and Rommel fight it out. Or, for that matter, Guderian or Patton, Zhukov or Manstein. None of that here. This is probably going to be a lot less high level. So, of course, we are aware of Semois. In fact, having a lot of it rather lately, so I'll skip it over this time around. In particular, due to some rather unfortunate circumstances. But, of course, we will have a look at our opponents. In the southern corner, we are seeing Tusker, 464 of the Wehrmacht, Kampfgruppe Tusker, holding the lines outside Paris, a combined force of, Luftwaffe Forces Security Detachment and a few veteran grenadiers mixed into all of it, opposing the 26th Infantry Division under Stalker 908, marching towards Paris, hoping to liberate the French capital. And let's get straight to it. I'll of course be trying some slightly different methods to sort of analyze this, try to point out some things, highlights and all that. And of course, as always when you're the Wehrmacht, it's not a bad idea to wire this point off when you're on Semois. This is probably going to be a point that's going to be very much harassed. So wiring it off, good. Although of course it will delay your sort of capturing in the beginning. It will pay off in the longer run, or at least partially. We are seeing a third pioneer team, though rather interesting already from the Wehrmacht. He's going to be certainly lacking in heavy machine guns or even Volksgrenadiers right from the bat, although of course you can see his territory. He is going to be rather diminished in his fighting capacity already this early on. Against the British, it can work. Against the Americans, though, it's quite a gamble. Although I wouldn't knock it right off. We are seeing an MG42 on the way. Normally I prefer a Volksgrenadier team at least before an MG42, because that way at least you have something to keep the MG42 behind. Plus you have something a bit more maneuverable on the battlefield. Engineer securing this munitions point is ignored, instead going straight towards here. In the meanwhile, we are seeing the pioneers going heavily for the sort of beginning sector. And probably will be marching outwards towards here, and possibly here as well, although time will tell. Fuel point is secured. And where shall they go, I wonder? Riflemen ready, heading towards the center. MG42 ready. And what shall else be going on? This munitions point, in fact, this entire area is now under the control of the Kampfgruppe Tusker, while the Americans are heading towards the center of the map. The riflemen are doing something, but I'm not entirely sure what they are doing. He's playing defensively with them. That's not quite how you want to do it. You want to be aggressive with your riflemen. They have 1.5 capturing speed essentially, which means they capture a lot faster than pretty much any other unit early on, although Kettenkrats might capture fast, but they can't fight back. Riflemen can't of course be aggressive, but there we go, going for backwards towards this fuel point perhaps. Engineers, apparently a misclick here. That's not good. You want to try to keep an eye on that. And engineers right here at this rather forward point. Of course, due to the delay of Volksgrenadiers or anything, of course they can move here. Of course, that's sort of the threat of that. Pioneers moving in. MG42 a bit too late back there. At the same time, he is being probably cautious with it. One engineer down. This is sort of unfortunate engagement, but he does pull out of there before he loses even more. Riflemen have secured this point. Engineers finally getting around to securing this point. Wonder what the riflemen will be doing. Probably spotted there are some Wehrmacht troops right here in the south. And pioneers are moving about here, laying down some tank traps already. That seems a bit excessive. Not like there's going to be any jeeps or any M8s right away. That might have been an odd move. Rifleman engaging right here. Oh dear, there's an MG42 in there, and he's actually moving out of heavy cover. again, this is sort of a novice thing, so of course there should also be a focus on novice things, novice mistakes. One thing is, don't move out your units in front of a heavy machine gun, in particular when you're in heavy cover. What they should have done was in fact move deeper into heavy cover. Deeper, in fact, right around here or here. That would have granted them nice protection against the MG42. Plus the damage, in fact, it would probably have done only 50% damage, and suppression would have been very low, so they couldn't probably, in fact, even have beaten this MG42 inside the building. But sadly, they moved right out in front of it, and what shall be the result? Just wait as the MG42 reaches up from the pulpit and preaches a lead to the riflemen, forcing them back again. That's a bad move there, and could have been easily avoided, but sadly, no. Riflemen engaging through here, sneaking past the German forces right here in the center, focusing heavily there. And he's going straight for the skirmish phase. That's curious. Certainly not what you usually see, in fact. But there you go. And then he's going for... This is very awkward. I mean, had this been a much more aggressive American commander, though, he probably could have taken out a lot more. And of course, Mr. Tusker here could in fact have been beaten very early on. Or at least been very heavily caught off guard. But instead, he's gone for the skirmish phase already. He's now getting a second MG42. I mean, that's not making an awful lot of sense. Will he be getting a creek barracks? He's also laying down barbed wire here, which is again a sort of odd move. Now going for this victory point. Americans are holding out this area. Second MG42 moving out. What shall he be doing? He's got a lot of manpower and a bit of fuel. He's getting Volksgrenadiers now. He's gone for the skirmish phase and gets Volksgrenadiers. Yes, indeed. Again, I'm not claiming these are highly veteran commanders, but there you go. Moving in through the south, might catch these pioneers off guard with flamethrowers though, and right near the bushes. That's going to be a toasty recipe. There we go. Rifleman taking a bit of damage, but one pioneer goes down. He moves them away. That was a bit unfortunate. MG42 moving out into the open. Again, that's why you want Volksgrenadiers at the front, sort of to spot out these sort of things, and then of course have something to place the MG42 behind. Perhaps here would have been better, but no. Now one M down, two left, and forced to retreat while the MG42 fires from the church, forcing the riflemen back. Americans pushing through here. Riflemen being awfully cautious, not moving towards here, for example. Again, I'm rather curious at his passivity, and going for a supply yard, possibly some more riflemen. Volksgrenadiers marching out. Again, we're not really seeing highly focused play from either side, and it is a bit confusing, in fact. I mean, a concerted American commander would have probably done a lot more. The same would have a concerted American Wehrmacht commander, in fact, a lot more focused. But one thing to note here is, in fact, already laid down mines here to sort of protect this spot, prevent any rushes, and of course any movement through here. That's probably going to do a bit of nice work there. Engineers not retreating in the face of Volksgrenadiers. Volksgrenadiers getting MP40s right away. That's interesting. And now he's gotten a supply yard. Now he's going for the weapon supports, and I'm rather fearing he's going for too much infrastructure too swiftly. Of course, the supply yard will help with the upkeep, but I'm a bit curious as to the greater effect. Going for the fuel point here and then advancing towards the south. Pioneers completely unstopped right there. That's not good. And Volksgrenadiers moving towards the north. Engineers still hanging about here, not moving about. Riflemen moving in to support them. More Volksgrenadiers arriving on the field, and the MG42 returning to the field so far. 3 pioneer teams, 2 MG42s and 2 Volksgrenadiers. And now he's getting something from the weapon support center. A 3rd rifleman team has arrived. Riflemen sneaking about here. Riflemen hanging about here by the engineers, but not doing much. MG42 might be setting up here, perhaps. Yes, indeed. Riflemen not with a clear idea of what to do. We are seeing inspired assault being selected by the Wehrmacht. The Kampfgruppe being extolled into the Wehrmacht virtues of constantly attacking. Apparently move on. And standing out in the open against MP40s. MP40s pulling back towards heavy cover. This is good. And riflemen are in a slightly unfortunate position, getting hit by a deluge of bullet fire. MP40s being alright at medium distance, not because of any dint of sort of accuracy, but simply due to sheer weight of firepower. And one rifleman already down. Another down, moving about out in the open. Oh dear, that's a terrible engagement again. Do not move about in the open against automatic weapons like MP40s or anything like that. That's bad. Pioneers retreating from here, finally being stopped by some riflemen. That's a good job. Pioneers, though, hanging about. Could do with a bit more mining. That's always good. We are seeing some Pioneers and MG42 moving towards here while Riflemen are moving in. This could end up in a very nasty standoff where the Riflemen get gunned down. Kampfgruppe center up as well, and now going for a motor pool already. I rather feel there's a sort of too hefty switching between buildings. He's building too much, not training enough. He barely has any troops on the field, yet he already has several buildings. MP40 equipped Volksgrenadiers marching in. Oh dear, they might be going for this point, but there's a mortar standing there, and it's not even set up. Oh dear. Oh dear, now it is setting up. No. This is a pretty bad move, leaving his support weapon unsupervised, and now it's getting gunned down by the Volksgrenadiers. That was pretty terrible. Again, be careful with that. Keep attention to your support units. Keep them near your infantry, or at least ensure your true opponent can't just move through there. That's bad. Engineers still hanging about here. Perhaps found some secret cache of beer, whiskey, books. Who knows? We are seeing some riflemen and engineers moving towards the central road here, right into the arms of the MP40 equipped Volksgrenadiers. That's not good. Still nothing from the Wehrmacht base, though. The Kampfgruppe was still holding out with its submachine gun equipped Volksgrenadiers, apparently equipping them with the finest submachine guns from the Paris armories. Well, not really, but still I suppose that's what he's doing. The Kampfgruppe doing well. Engineers finally getting out and then getting rushed away by Volksgrenadiers with MP40s. Good show there, and we are seeing an observation post going up there. One there as well, in fact a bit of mirroring right there. We are seeing an M8 car hitting the field. Good show there. Riflemen stopping up. This point getting secured by engineers, and riflemen getting into the cafe and then doing nothing. That's odd. But M8 moving down towards the southern road. Will it be getting, yes, armored skirts, there we go, moving forward, dashing away like cavalry. Hip hip huzzah, and wait, where is he going? Is it with or without support? And, oh dear, he's going to hit that mine, isn't he? Yes, indeed, engine is destroyed, and this is going to what? Make him a nice target for a Panzerfaust. Good show there with the main gun destroyed, and a few shots through the rear, and there we go, M8 out of control. That could possibly a bit avoided a bit, but sadly no. Riflemen firing away from the cafe at the Volksgrenadiers. Riflemen taking a bit of fire. Wehrmacht forces ensconcing heavily here. More tank traps being laid down. A lot of pioneers in fact here. What could be in this building? In fact, looks like something has set up shop. Another MG42. Riflemen here holding out despite everything. What now? Now he's again. This is sort of the mistake he keeps making. You should stick to something. I mean, I don't necessarily mean stick to something within the entire game, but 11 minutes have passed, and he's basically already built every American building except the triage center. That ought to ring a bell or two. That's not good. That's not efficient. He doesn't have enough units on the field yet. He's building more buildings. I mean, he should try sticking to something at least a bit more. Perhaps get another mortar, use it better. Perhaps a heavy machine gun. Perhaps some upgrades for his riflemen. Perhaps another armored car, a half-track one, anti-tank gun. What he shouldn't be doing is then immediately move over to a tank depot. That's sort of a not efficient use of your resources. We'll of course have to see how this goes. Rifleman sneaking about here behind. Rifleman still standing around here. And he's much too passive with his riflemen. They're just standing about in some cases, or sitting in the cafe having a cafe latte while someone is getting gunned down from the church. And looks like some Volksgrenadiers moving in, and airborne are being dropped right behind the church. What does he have in mind? Perhaps a satchel charge through here. But no, Volksgrenadiers are moving in, opening up on the airborne. And what does he do? Satchel charge through the church window, come on. Only one MG42 gunner. Come on, a few more shots. The MG42 not turning about. No, instead it's getting out of the church. Retreating, and what? Then what? Then what? Airborne standing out in the middle of everything, reinforcing, of course. Airborne can Right, let's just pause here briefly. what did we just see here? We saw a satchel charge being thrown as if it was a grenade. You don't do that. Why? Well, note that timer, that's 4.5 seconds. Unless you're fighting a sloth, that's not going to cut it. He's immediately going to move out of that. That's not good. You don't use satchel charges as hand grenades. Use them to clear out strong points, buildings, blockades, so for example, barbed wire and tank traps, your mother-in-law, but not troops. So keep that in mind. Rifleman getting in there again. I mean, it's good protection against submachine guns, because submachine guns do not so well against troops and buildings. But satchel charges, no. But let us return to the fight. Volkswagen is retreating. Nice explosion here, but that's about what it achieves. Airborne will have to retreat in the face of the Volkswagen. Instead, they get into the building. Rifleman could get out of there and support those airborne inside the building. Come on. Leave the building, support his other troops. No, apparently not. Again, lack of support between troops. That's not good. Airborne getting out, getting gunned down, retreating finally though. But still, his troops are completely unsupported. They are on their own, and they're going to get picked apart. And apparently he's saving up for a Sherman tank, which is only going to get a bit better than if he went for a tank destroyer. So at least he's got something right. Apparently someone sent crap fuckers, that's always nice. Pack hitting the field. Apparently they cleared out something here, could have been an observation post. Grenadiers moving in with an LMG-42 opening up, killing one rifleman. That's certainly something for the LMG-42, still not much. Again, I'd not recommend using the LMG-42 at all.
Crowds are pounding on a
You're in fact better off using the MP-40, since they actually do more damage at range. And that's again not due to accuracy or anything, that's simply due to sheer volume, which they can actually provide better off than the LMG-42, due to there being 5. And it looks like this observation post is being cleared up by the Wehrmacht. That's a bit unfortunate. Sherman tank, though, is probably going to be available for calling in now. MG-42 standing up here, mining the entrance to the church, except that if nothing actually happens, it's probably going to catch off some unfortunate priest. But still, good show there. If the Germans move in, they're going to find a nasty surprise. Securing the center, good show. Grenadiers pushing through in the south. Volksgrenadiers moving in as well. Still nothing here. Sherman tank is on the way. M4 Sherman. Wehrmacht lining up for that, perhaps for an assault. Panzerschreck equipped for some grenadiers. MG-42 moving in. That's going to hit a mine. That's going to end up very nastily. There we go. One down, 2 left, wounded. And those riflemen will be opening up on the church from within their own building. That's going to do nicely. And engineers getting suppressed. That was rather unfortunate. Still no counterattack immediately towards this point. That's a bit unfortunate. Grenadiers moving in from the south. Grenadiers moving in from the other south. Well, the west, I suppose. And we might be seeing a grenade through the window. There we go. That's how you throw things at infantry. You use grenades, not satchel charges. And just repeat that to yourself a few times and you'll be alright for the future. Charging these Volksgrenadiers with the MP-40s. Not looking good. Getting hit by the machine gun emplacement. They went too far. And we're cut down by the MG-42. No, not the MG-42, the 30 caliber at the base. Grenadiers marching through here. Good show. Nice aggression. No mines here, though that could have done nicely. Rifleman securing here. At least he's doing something right in sort of not just focusing on one spot, but constantly shifting, constantly harassing. That's good. Grenadiers taking fire from the Sherman. Volksgrenadiers securing this area. Grenadiers moving in with the Panzerschrecks, but then pulling out again, not wanting to face down the Sherman. A bit of reinforcement here. Americans moving through here, apparently ignoring this fuel pump, but then returning, realizing they actually need it. Partially tanks to connect all of their territory once more. Sherman hanging about. Perhaps brewing some tea on the engine inside. And looks like the Pioneers there under fire from the airborne. The airborne otherwise not doing much. Looks like we will be seeing some forces moving out through here. Ready to support that Sherman. Pioneers under fire. Veterancy 1. Also for the infantry. Slight self feeling there. And of course for the MG-42. Accuracy. That's of course a nice thing for your heavy machine guns. In general, accuracy. If you're the Wehrmacht, get it. It can really make a difference in the short and long run. Sherman moving in. And these Grenadiers ready in an ambush, opening up, but on the engineers, and now might be caught out and open by the Sherman. There we go, one down. Riflemen, engineers charging in. Guns blazing, shouts, curses thrown at them. Oh dear, this grenadier team could go down. Only one man carrying his Panzer Shrek like his life depended on it. It probably doesn't, but he's probably going to be a lot more popular when he makes it back with it. Sherman charging in. American and airborne getting caught out in the open though. Grenadiers firing away. More LMG 42s. That's not good. Sherman charging in. Might clear out the church. Pack moving about. Church is in the way. The house of God is a house of obstruction as well. My goodness, who would have thought? And opening up on the church, clearing it out. Riflemen and engineers moving in. Pack still moving up. Might hit that. German airborne slowly pulling back in the face of all this horde forces. German moving in. Might want to hit those in the rear. That's actually good. Would be a good move. Lots of manpower. We really should consider investing in something. Perhaps an upgrade for the supply yard. Perhaps a medic station. Perhaps some more infantry. Perhaps something. German moving out. Could be hitting all of these forces here. Airborne hanging about. Could do with a bit of an enforcement. There we go. Grenadiers and Full Grenadiers caught out in the open. One Full Grenadier down. And there we go. Full retreat from the entire force. Unable to face this German and survive. Or at least, well, below that. There we go. Retreating. Veterans 1. What does that do, you ask? Increases speed. That's pretty much the same for all American vehicles. Veterans 2 for mostly all American vehicles. Increases penetration. Veterans 3. Damage. That's pretty much good rule of thumb. Still nothing here. Again, I'm not feeling he's being very aggressive enough. Mr. Stalker, which is a really bad thing since as the Americans, you have to be aggressive. Trust me, you have. Engineers engaging these grenadiers. That's probably not going to... No, instead, airborne are dropping in into the midst of everything. Sherman moving in, clearing out those pioneers. My goodness. At the same time, we are seeing a Panzer command. The Kampfgruppe are apparently able to call in some armour reserves from somewhere. That's certainly going to will. And Grenadiers getting torn to bits in front of the Sherman. Oh dear, get out of there, Grenadiers. And apparently they do. Pack could be cleared out. Pack's moving into the midst of this. This is bad. And Pack is cleared out. Airborne could secure one, in fact, for the Americans. That would do nicely. And Full Grenadiers moving in from the rear. And moving in his entire force into the range of the MP. Again, let's briefly pause. What don't you do against MP40 equipped Full Grenadiers? Move close to them. You have rifles. Use them at range. That's where they excel. Not close up against MP40s. Keep that in mind. And as you might have noticed, those riflemen are already taking a beating, being beaten into snot, paste, and Swiss cheese. And recoilless rifles are now equipped. Airborne still holding out here. In fact, they... Oh dear, engineers need to retreat, but both packs have been cleared. Airborne now on their own. Sherman needs to move in. Sherman needs to move in. Come on, Sherman. Move your fat ass. I can't help but feel there's a lack of prioritizing on the American commander. Move the Sherman. There we go. Although the Wehrmacht might secure Pack, much to unfortunate sides. And engineers getting to the church. Oh dear. Aggression and of course a bit decent control of your troops. Riflemen moving out, still floating at quite a bit of resources. No supply yard upgrades. Sherman opening on the Grenadiers. Time to shift. What is the mid-game analysis? Let's just briefly hang on to that though for the Monday Novice fight. Situation is looking a bit bad for the Wehrmacht. Pushed off the field, except at this spot they do have both packs remanned, but they're lacking infantry, and that Sherman could still do quite a nasty bit. No, they only have one of the packs still. My goodness. Infantry is lacking, but the Panther is on the way. Panzer 5. And what is coming up from the Americans? Perhaps some more armor, I can't say. Airborne are nearby with recoilless rifles. There's the Sherman, but still that Panther could change the tide. But if they can clear out those Grenadiers first, though, there might be a chance. And also if they can carry out a pack, but there you go. For the Americans, though, he really needs to hold on to this area. He needs to fortify, lay down some mines. He needs to be better with his resources, and he needs to stop mucking about and be more aggressive. Take territory when the opponent isn't there. Be aggressive, scout, harass, search. Yeet, grab. Stuff like that. The Wehrmacht, on the other hand, needs to break this force, and he can probably secure the center once more and push onwards. So returning to the fight. Sherman opening up on the Grenadiers. One goes down. Recoilless rifle shots flying. LMG 42 blasting grenades flying at the airborne. One down. Another down. Airborne charging forward. Riflemen as well. Bit of damage there. No grenades for them, though, although the grenadiers are still taking heavy losses due to all of this fire being directed at them. Airborne getting reinforced on the field. Grenadiers taking damage further and further. Airborne still dropping on the field, but they need to get out there. Retreat! Retreat! Oh dear, retreat, for heaven's sake. There we go. LMG-42s blasting, but they don't kill. And Grenadiers, though, might be lost. No! Sherman hanging a bit too far away. And looks like a Grenadier team was lost. Oh dear, and an LMG-42. That's 75 munitions down the drain, and they weren't really able to do much despite all of that firepower. So again, who knows, not really a good investment if you ask me. Riflemen advancing towards here. There we go, Panzer V Panther has arrived for the Kampfgruppe Tusker. Called in from some reserve unit to support this ad hoc formation. It is now there, ready to support the German advance to hold Paris with German counterattack. Everything getting reinforced here. Finally moving through here again once more. German securing the north. And now he's just hanging about, not doing much. That's bad. I mean, for example, let's just briefly pause. A mine here, a mine here, a mine here could do a lot. Mines everywhere, in fact, could do a lot. But then again, also seizing this area could do a lot. Needs to be more aggressive and needs to be faster moving. And a supply yard upgrade. Medic station could also do a trick, for example. For your novices, for example, here, this could be good. It's close to the front, but at the same time, the bocage will protect it from most direct fire, which is good. It's what you want. Otherwise, perhaps behind the cafe. Such things are key. And now the Panther moves in without infantry support, though. But there's only a Sherman to support. And now he's laying down a mine right in front of the Panther. And there we go. One engineer down, retreating. Airborne moving in. Recoilless rifles at the ready. Second Sherman moving in. And the engineers were killed. A kill marker for the Panther. Turn around that Sherman. Do not expose the rear. There we go. Airborne charging. Riflemen charging. Airborne moving in, hoping to unleash some recoilless rifle shots into the rear. But no, it's at the Volksgrenadiers. Anti-tank gun dropping into the midst of this. This could actually work. That's a bold move. Sherman moving in, hitting the rear of the Panther. The Panther is in a dire spot without proper infantry support. Again, do not move in your armor without infantry support. In particular, not the Panther. And this Panther could be lost. Oh dear, will it happen? There we main gun destroyed. But the Volksgrenadiers, though, charge through all of this, doing heavy damage. Sherman should have been targeting those. Grenadiers taking heavy fire, getting cut to bits. Everything is getting cut to bits. Anti-tank gun firing. Panther pulls out of this. It actually survives. Grenadiers might be lost. Volksgrenadiers retreating in the face of this. But the Grenadiers, will they survive? Will they live to see another day? Apparently they managed to get ignored. No, there we go. They're dead. Pack, though, covering the retreat for everyone. A bit of a harsh fight. Heavy losses, although I think the Americans got the worst of it. Well, that was good. We're killing the Grenadiers there with LMG-42, which means, of course, no Grenadiers with LMG-42s. They didn't really do much compared to these Volksgrenadiers with MP-40s. I can't help but feel. Panther heavily damaged. The gun is gone. That's not good. Moving through here, securing this area, and tank traps apparently forgotten. Anti-tank gun is ready. Mines could be finished there. That would be a nice thing to do. Airborne getting reinforced. Moving north to counter-attack. In fact, let's return to our friend Stalker. Just briefly for a quick look. No upgrades there. That's bad. But return to Tusker. Our Tusking friend. Repairing the Panther post-haste. No veterans before, but he's getting the Ostwind, and yes, that's sort of the usual dichotomy you see from Wehrmacht commanders, or at least some of the more experienced ones. Panther and Ostwinds, what's the problem with this? Well, if one is lost, there's going to be a rather huge lacking in fighting the other bit. Of course, Panthers can decently deal with infantry, but not really what I would rely on for them. And if the Panther's gone, then you're going to be pretty fucked against armor, because the Ostwind can't deal with armor at all. I mean, a Panzer IV as either would have done better, though preferably a Panther and a Panzer IV. That would have done the trick really well. Quite nicely, in fact. But there you go. Just my thoughts. And let us return to the fight. Volksgrenadier Pioneers taking heavy fire. Airborne riflemen charging in. Veterans you want for these airborne. In fact, that's nice. Securing this spot. Securing this. Good aggression. Finally moving out and securing some territory. No supply yet upgrades though. I would really love to see some of that. Or some grenade upgrades. Some sticky bomb upgrades. Some upgrades at all. Use those resources you have, Mr. Stalker. Panther getting ready. Another Panther on the way. Riflemen taking fire from the Ostwind. Will have to pull back. Pioneers running away. Shermans just hanging about, being sort of awesome Shermans or something like that. Anti-tank gun pulling further back. Probably not a bad idea, just in case someone decides to artillery that spot. Securing this area. The Wehrmacht commander is being awfully quiet, awfully still. The American commander on the other hand is not preparing himself, probably not enough mines or defenses of any sort. More armor though on the way from the tank depot. That's not a bad idea, although a tank destroyer might be the key this time around. All victory points now falling into the hands of the 28th Infantry Division. The Kampfgruppe though is getting ready. Armor veterancy, this is good for you. Newbies, what do I mean with that? Well, it decreases the damage taken for your armor by 25%. That means that upgrade is worth its weight in gold. In fact, more than that. So use it when you can. It's really going to make a huge difference. Trust me. And another Panther arrives on the field. Or not? Apparently he's lacking the population due to, again, aggressive movement. That's of course another reason you want to be aggressive. You can in fact block up him getting more units due to a lack of population. That's also a very noteworthy thing to keep in mind. Airborne hanging about here for no apparent reason. Riflemen hanging about. No upgrades through here. Still, I'm disagreeing with that heavily. Another pack has been seized. The other one apparently hiding on the other side of the river. Panther advancing very slowly. And apparently that was cancelled. Moving right. No, it was an upgun for the Shermans. And rear shot for everyone. Shermans opening up and the Panther exposing its rear to the upgun Sherman. That's not good. Frontal armor, it might stand a chance, but still against the rear. No. But there we go. Retreating. What's he doing? What is he doing? My goodness. Tusker, what are you doing with your precious Panther? What are you doing? Why are you moving it like that? Further engagement through here. Ostwind charging against these riflemen. But what is this? He's charging the base with his Panther. Anti-tank gun dropped down, ready to counter this. What is happening? Perhaps some armor-piercing rounds. That would be good. Increases damage. That's again a noteworthy thing. But no, he's calling in a firestorm. He's rushing in his Panther to call in a firestorm on the base. Armor-piercing rounds, by the way, can do a lot of damage, but still that's not a good use of resources in any way. Why do I say this? Because firestorms are great against infantry, great against support units if they're still standing there, but terrible against buildings and anything. I mean, a base is not going to take an awful lot of damage from a firestorm, and there's not even a lot of infantry. In fact, he might end up losing a Panther and 165 munitions. Anti-tank gun might not make it. I might see a sticky bomb here. The cornerless route is moving in. Frontal armor deflects a shot. And he lost an airborne unit. No, yes, he lost an airborne unit. He didn't move in his Shermans to deal with this. Oh dear. Panther though getting knocked out. And what's his Shermans doing? Oh dear, coordinate, my friend, coordinate. Main gun destroyed, engine destroyed. Ostwind moving in. Out of control, Panther. Still, that was a heavy blow that could have been avoided. Ostwind charging in, no idea why. And there we go, shot right through the front. Ostwind is lost, another Panther is ready. But still, that was heavy losses. And now the Panthers are Shermans are moving when there's no need for it. Guards. This is not good. Not good at all. Anti-tank gun is ready. Could move out. Could not. Wehrmacht finally securing some territory once more. Getting a Panzer IV this time around. That's good to see. Very good to see, in fact. And he's getting grenadiers. Dual equipping LMG 42s. That's even worse. Even very much worse, in fact. At least that's my professional opinion. Rifleman airborne getting ready. Anti-tank and not moving up. Veterancy 3 airborne. That's actually a pretty dangerous thing. Quite accurate and do more damage, meaning those recoilless rifles are really going to be dangerous. Sherman though moving right in front. Oh dear, it hasn't been repaired and he moved it back to the front. That's going to be lost. Move that Sherman though. Move it just for the grace sake of anything. Think of the children. Grenadiers taking heavy losses. Sherman moving back. Veterancy 2 and still move that Sherman. Its main gun is knocked out. This is gained Veterancy 2, which means combined with that high velocity gun, it can in fact probably penetrate the frontal armor of the Panther with ease. But now it's getting fired from all sides. No, it couldn't. Still, move that Sherman. My gods, move that Sherman. You do not hanging about in a situation like that. Now the Panther force moving in, and he lost a Veterancy 2 Sherman. That's sad, and he has a lot of forces moving in here. Not good coordination between his troops. Let in fact return to him. And resources are being spent on something, but what, I have no idea. Sherman and dire need repairs. Moving out the anti-tank gun in his entire force. This is not looking good at all. He just lost a Sherman, Veterancy 2. Airborne have lost veterans. And now the Germans are pushing onwards ever staunchly, ever graciously. The Kampfgruppe is still holding on. Going towards the center, still no upgrades, still no supply yard upgrades, still no medic stations. Volksgrenadiers are under fire. Troops awfully clumped up. Again, that's bad, in particular when you see your opponent has used a firestorm, and there we go, calling in. Retreat, retreat when you see something like that. And now a heavy, devastating barrage. Almost killing off 2 teams. That's not good, and losing him the anti-tank gun. Riflemen taking heavy losses, continuing into the wake of... Oh, balls. That's a very unfortunate engagement there. Pretty bad one, in fact. Getting a tank destroyer now. That's might want to help, but still, that was... Oh dear, incredibly bad. Very bad. Don't do that. Please promise me you won't ever do that. Volksgrenadiers and Grenadiers advancing towards the center. Anti-tank on ready. M10 hitting the field.
101. 82nd.
Cam, ready for action.
Anti-tank gun opening up on these pioneers. And what is this? Panther and Panther 4. Is he getting ready for another base assault? Without infantry support? Adding in an Ostwind to the mix. I don't like that. That could end up very badly. Very badly indeed. Sherman needs to turn around. Turn around. I said turn around, not expose the rear. There we go. Also pull back. Airborne though moving in. Veterans, you're free. That means those recoilless rifles are dangerous. Engineers, you don't want to have your troops repairing while under fire. They will be easily knocked out. Airborne charging in. M10 moving in from the rear. Sherman, oh dear, that's going to be lost. Airborne moving in continually. No sticky bombs, but right. And artillery being called in right here. M10 moving in and... Right, let's just get something clear right here. The M10 is not a tank, it's a tank destroyer. What's the difference? Well, a tank destroyer is usually not meant to engage tanks from the front unless the German-American tank destroyer doctrine relied on speed and firepower, not on actually being able to survive a shot from a Panther. That's also reflected in the game. What does this mean? That means you do not want to engage the frontal armor, or at least the frontal bits, of the Panther. The Panther was in fact built to withstand a lot from the front, 80mm of sloped armor. That's bad. What do you want to do? You want to move it towards the rear of the Panther. There you can do a lot of damage, not the front, the rear, this area. Keep that in mind. You never want to slug out with armor with your M10s or M18s. That's bad, and you should never ever do it. Promise me that. So let us return to the fight and let us watch how this goes for the M10. Panther opens up. M10 still hanging about. Panther taking a bit of damage though. M10 though also taking a lot of damage. Some are managing a rear hit though. And what is this? Using the airborne doctrine, of course, with the support of the 101st. And what is this? A bombing run. Now that's actually clever. Knocking out the Panther with that just before the M10 is knocked out. But that Panzer IV takes care of that. That's not good. Recordless rifles might clear out that Panzer IV. 2 hits. And the Panzer IV is almost down. A few more hits though, and that Panzer IV might be completely lost. Riflemen advancing down there in the south. That's nice to see. Anti-tank and support pioneers forced away. The Panzer IV though continuing to be hunted by the airborne. They could speed up a bit, perhaps get a few good shots in. A few choice shots. Ostwind also trying to get out of there, perhaps moving a bit too far, returning to the road. It got lost. And apparently they make a getaway on the roads. Again, something to note for you new players. Armour moves faster on the roads. Very much faster. That's something good to know, of course. They will in fact automatically use the roads. Of course, they can be used against them by mining the roads. So keep that in mind. It works in many ways. What shall be going on here? And let's get something else on the clear. I mean, let's imagine a world where the LMG-42 is actually effective, where dual equipping it to the Grenadier team is actually a very devastating tactic, of course, despite very expensive and risky. You still don't want to be moving them around as if they were wielding MP40s, LMG-42s. Do not fire on the move. The unit needs to stand still. You do not move them up close to your opponent and go, aha, no. You place them somewhere behind them and then open up. Keep that in mind. As you might be noticing, those LMG-42s are not firing at all, but there we go. Riflemen retreating, not taking an awful lot of damage. Those MP40s probably could have done more. Riflemen securing the center. German armor pulling back to lick its wounds. The Panther is lost. That was 2 Panthers down, in fact. And an Ostwind. And this anti-tank gun, though, might be cleared out in seconds. Calling in another M10. Riflemen moving in. Grenadiers not standing still. Again, not sure why it does that. There it goes. Finally standing still, opening up, doing a bit of damage. And then moving them about again. Not much luck with that. Rest of the infantry force moving out. M10 almost ready. Center is in German hands, more or less. They just need to claim it. And all quiet for now. Riflemen moving out of range of the LMG-42s. If they had grenades, they could lop over, but no, the Grenadiers are moving right into the arms of the Riflemen. That's what you call bad. No, throwing a grenade at the Riflemen. Doing more damage than those LMG-47 would. A lot of Riflemen are down, but airborne are moving in, opening up with their very nasty recoilless rifles due to Veterans 3. And those Grenadiers might want to retreat. One is down. Oh dear. Even the carbines on Veterans 3 can in fact be quite lethal. MP40 equipped Volks Grenadiers moving in. Stand still with those troops. Move them in. Keep them in the heavy cover. Do not move much closer. Opening up, blowing away the cover with the recoilless rifles. Good show there. Marketplace is constantly crumbling away. Ostwind moving in.
They have 200 points left.
Volks Grenadiers taking heavy damage. And what is this? A firestorm being called in. Retreating. Finally spotting it. Good show there. M10 nearby. Could deal with this Ostwind. Ostwind, and there we go. A 3rd Panther though. Der dritte Panther. Yes, we'll have to see how that works out. Riflemen hanging about. Supply drops are being called in. Will he use them? Besides just getting resources, I don't know. Supply yard still would have been nice. A supply yard upgrade, that is. All quiet here. Grenadiers getting reinforced once more. 2 LMG-42s, 5 kills. Most of those were due to the grenade. Some pioneers and Volksgrenadiers moving out. And looks like the German commander is making a move for the American base once more. Seems to be the case now with a bit of infantry support, which is good. Some pioneers, some Volksgrenadiers. In this case, probably some Sicherungstruppen with some MP40s. And we are seeing some pioneers advancing in the south as well, going once more for the base assault. Not sure why he's so keen on it. So far he's not really gained much except losing a lot of armor and constantly losing Panthers. I mean, this is practically a Panther graveyard. I mean, look, right there, 2 Panthers right next to each other. That ought to be a hint that you don't want to be moving more Panthers in there. There should sort of be a red warning light and an Achtung, Achtung, don't move your panthers in here, Dummkopf.
Front shifting. Krauts are grabbing.
Or it's a trip to the Eastern Front. Sort of thing going off, but apparently that's not. Pioneers taking this point but taking heavy fire. Airborne doing their nasty magic. Pioneers might escape, though. Securing this fuel point right outside the American base. A Sherman on the way. M10 could move in to clear out this. Opening fire. Looks like he is moving in. Ostwind also ready in support, although a bit damaged. And now the Panther once more moves in for the kill. Rifle advancing, of course, without sticky bombs. Opening up on the motor pool. M10 tank destroyer moving in. Sherman ready from the base very soon. Ostwind moving in as well. Airborne retreating. Sticky bombs. He's finally gotten sticky bombs. Lots and lots of sticky bombs damaging the engine of the Panther. Still engaging from the front though. He in fact wants to move both of his tanks around this instead of engaging from in front. Artillery being called in on the American base. Oh dear, pull out that infantry. M10 actually moving behind the Sherman. That's not the Panther, that's good. Although Sherman is taking a bit of damage. And what is this? A bombing run. A bombing run again. My goodness, that might actually do the trick. Ostwind firing away, but not enough. And the Panther is once more out of control. Panzer IV might also be lost. Panther is lost. And the Panzer IV as well. Another Ostwind though out from the base, but still Panther and Panzer IV is lost. Heavy losses for the Panzer forces, although heavy losses for the infantry as well for the Americans. And still lacking a lot in manpower and low upkeep. Low resource income, that's not good. And Sherman moving in here, engaging these Grenadiers, killing them. The LMG-42s will not be able to do anything against the tough hide of the beast that is known as the Sherman. And he's moving in his M10 for no apparent reason, right into the arc of fire of those packs. Get that M10 out of there. Oh dear, and he's actually turning around to face it. Grenadiers though might be doomed in the face of this Sherman.
Enemy unit down.
M10 damaged engine. Again, why he did that is there's no idea. Grenadiers are lost. Only Volksgrenadiers once more left behind for the German forces. This M10 really needs to get out of there. Infantry could support it. 14 minutes have passed. M10 is lost. Well, airborne moving in here could open up in this Ostwind. Take up cover. I said take up cover. Do not be standing out negative cover while taking a point. Rifleman getting blown to bits by the Ostwind. Not good. And Rifleman might be moving in and sticky bombing in this Ostwind, ending its life.
Enemy unit down.
Ostwind has lost the other one. Heavily damaged though. Panther moving in. Firestorm being called in. The airborne avoiding it. Very close, very close. Trio centers up. Actually did notice that. Good show. And we are seeing an incendiary storm. The church is on fire. Dramatic. Oscar material right there. Ostwind still hanging about, heavily damaged. Rifleman once more charging it across negative cover. Don't do that, please. GG amigo, gotta run. Game over then. And Panther moving straight at the airborne. That's a bit unfortunate. So of course this was the first Monday Novice fight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. And I generally hope you liked it. So of course feedback is of course welcome. And so on. And of course if you feel like you could have done better, feel free to send a replay. And of course so on. Of course what went wrong here, what went right? Well, there was a lot of things that went wrong, but of course were some right things. I mean, we saw some good aggression sometimes from the American, but at other times he became incredibly lax. That was not good. Very bad, in fact. But he fought on. He used his airborne actually pretty decently, getting some good veterancy on them. Not good enough with cover at times, though. He had some accidents with coordinating units, and that was really his problem. At times he didn't. And also plus his armor tactics were a bit rusty. But coordinate your infantry. I mean, if you're having one unit engaged in a building and you have other units free nearby, move them in, help. And if your infantry is getting gunned down by an Ostwind and you have two Shermans nearby, move them in, help them. And repair your tanks and don't keep them in the front if they're down low on health. That's bad. That's begging them to be destroyed. In fact, he lost a lot of units that way, just sitting there in stupid situations. Another thing though, do not engage panzers from the front with M10s or Shermans. Get behind, open fire there. That's going to do the trick. But nice use of bombing runs though. That's actually pretty rare. That's actually pretty good. Another thing though, that's a pretty huge thing though. Too much infrastructure, too fast. You didn't get enough feet on the ground. That was a problem. Avoid that. Try to be a bit more cautious in your increasing of the infrastructure. On the other hand, we saw some good use here from the Wehrmacht though, although skirmish phase, then infantry. Yeah, I didn't like that. Mines could have benefited either side. The Wehrmacht a bit too much in Panthers and Ostwinds and attacking the base and then losing them constantly. He didn't really learn from his accidents and mistakes. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it and cheers.